Welcome to the Botany Bistro, where we're serving up bite-sized botany for you to munch on as you savor the science of plants. My name's Mary, and I'll be your botanist today. Our menu includes an exploration of plants in the Solanaceae family. This plant family is everywhere. You might not have heard the word Solanaceae in your daily life. However, I'm sure that you have interacted with plants in this family, possibly even earlier today. Plants in the Solanaceae have been used for many, many generations for food, for medicinal purposes, and today we're going to dig into just a few of them. Now, in our Ohio gardens, many of us grow Solanaceae plants, and we actually gave you some tips in our last video about the Juglandaceae family about how you need to coordinate these two different groups growing together. Another name for this family is the nightshade family. This family has very toxic and also very nutritious plants. So it's a really wide spectrum when you're thinking about plants in the Solanaceae. Not only are there edible crops and also things we need to avoid, there are beautiful species such as petunias that we often use to grace our pots and our porches, and that is also a member of the Solanaceae family. This family has over 2,600 different species and a wide range of diversity. Some of that is due to the polyploidy of these plants. Many of these plants have double, if not more, the amount of chromosomes than other plants. And so they have a lot more genetic variation possibilities. And when we get into crossbreeding and hybridization, it's a really opportunistic space for new characteristics to emerge. And so that's why plants in this family tend to be so varied, and really why we have come to embrace them as gardeners ourselves. Here in our community garden at the Civic Garden Center, which is tended lovingly by volunteers that we're so grateful for, we have tomatillos, tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, and eggplants all growing in unison. All of these plants are in the Solanaceae family, and they all really pack a punch when they get to our plates with not only high nutritional content, but also a colorful rainbow. On the flip side, plants like jimsonweed, belladonna, mandrake, and tobacco are also in this plant family and are all highly toxic. Recent fossil records have shown that this plant family has been around for a long time. We're talking about 75 million years, which has given this plant family a lot of time to diversify. There are so many different types of tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, eggplants. The list goes on and on. Just the different color variations we're able to get out of petunias will give you a little bit of a hint on the wide variety of things that you can get from Solanaceae plants. When used properly, even the toxic plants in this family can have medicinal effects. The dilation of the pupils used by the belladonna plant was used in early history and still is a key component of when we get our eyes dilated as we go to the optometrist to get our checkups. Something that ties all these plants together is their flower shape. While not every plant in this family has the exact same flower shape, a lot of the agricultural plants we use, you'll start to see these patterns of these star-shaped flowers. They emerge and then are pollinated, and then the fruit set starts to come on. This time of year in southwestern Ohio, it has been quite damp this particular growing season. And so our tomatoes and our tomatillos and our peppers really have not started to mature quite yet. We are getting quite a few flowers, as you can see, these beautiful little yellow blooms, which will be pollinated, and then after pollination they will be developing into fruits that actually have a really neat little husk on them. That's the tomatillo that has this little husk on the outside. Ground cherries also grow that way, and so we want to be seeing a lot of activity around our flowers at this time of year. If you're having issues with low pollination, you can always get in there and be the bee. You can get a little paintbrush going and kind of wiggle that around in there to spread out that pollen. Just a couple of tips for people that might be growing on a balcony. They do make patio varieties of some of these different species. So even if you don't have as big of a space as we have here at the Civic Garden Center, you can still enjoy a lot of these plants. And so just make sure you're looking for those patio varieties, or if you're doing tomatoes, that they are determinate, which means that they will get to a certain size and stay a little bit bushy. They won't be as viney as their indeterminate cousins. Another plant in this family that many of us know is tobacco. Tobacco has been grown as a highly important economic crop. I'll also have you know a fun fact that people are using it as a pesticide because it is lethal enough to actually kill the unwanted pests that we have in the garden. I don't know how much you like hot peppers, but I like to say that I do like spicy foods. And I will say that I met my match when we lived down in Florida and I had a ghost pepper for the first time. And whoo, that was quite an experience. But don't fret if you're not into spicy. There are also sweet peppers and everything in between in the Solanaceae. There's just so much diversity. What we really need to pay attention to is protecting it. When we only grow a few crops, we run the risk of what happened during the Irish potato famine, where they had an outbreak. And so we need to treasure this biodiversity that we have in this family. I encourage you to grow a different kind of tomato that you've never heard of. Try a tomatillo or a ground cherry. Think about the different types of potatoes you might be able to cultivate in your home garden. All of these things are so vital for our wildlife community and for the future of agriculture. You never know when we're going to have a breakthrough or we're going to need to rely on that biodiversity. And so we always need to be able to cultivate that. I can tell you that I absolutely cannot wait for tomato season to really get going here in Ohio. Those little cherry tomatoes never quite make it into the house. It's always my favorite gardening snack. And I wish the same for you and your garden. And hopefully in just a few weeks, we'll all be ready to share some salsa with each other. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bistro today. Stay tuned for more Bistro to Go.